What if the walls of your own home could betray you? What if safety was nothing more than an illusion, shattered in the dead of night? Tonight, we uncover one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries in American history: the disappearance of the Springfield Three. Three women, a mother, her daughter, and her daughter's best friend, vanished without a trace from their quiet suburban home in 1992. No struggle, no witnesses, no answers. Just an eerie silence that has haunted Springfield, Missouri, for over 3 decades. What happened that night? How could 3 lives simply evaporate into the darkness? And most disturbingly, could it happen again? Stay with us as we unravel the haunting details of this case. The erased messages, the unsettling phone calls, and the shadowy suspects who may hold the key to this terrifying puzzle. By the end of this video, you'll find yourself questioning not only what happened to these women, but also how safe any of us truly are. Before we dive into this chilling story, let me ask you something. Are you subscribed to this channel? Many of you watching right now aren't, and by subscribing, you ensure that you won't miss any of the spine-chilling mysteries we uncover. We delve into the darkest corners of true crime and reveal secrets that will keep you awake at night. So, hit that subscribe button now and join us as we explore the stories that others are too afraid to tell. Now, let's begin. But be warned, once you step into this mystery, there's no turning back. It was a quiet June night in Springfield, Missouri in 1992, a time when the city seemed untouched by the kind of horrors that make headlines. But by the morning of June 7th, everything changed. 3 women, Sherrill Levitt, her daughter Suzie Streeter, and Suzie's friend Stacy McCall, vanished without a trace from their home on East Delmar Street. What should have been a weekend of celebration following Suzie and Stacy's high school graduation turned into one of the most perplexing mysteries in American history. The events leading up to their disappearance seemed ordinary. Suzie and Stacy had spent the evening attending graduation parties, celebrating with friends until the early hours of the morning. At around 2:15 a.m., they decided to head back to Suzie's house instead of staying at a friend's overcrowded home. Sherrill, Suzie's mother, had last been heard from at 11:15 p.m. on June 6th during a phone call about refinishing furniture. By all accounts, everything was normal, until it wasn't. The following morning, concern began to grow. Janelle Kirby, a friend of Suzie and Stacy, along with her boyfriend Mike Henson, went to check on them after they failed to show up for a planned trip to a water park. What they found at 1717 East Delmar Street was unsettling. The front door was unlocked, the women's personal belongings, including purses, keys, and even cigarettes, were left untouched, and their cars were still parked outside. The house itself was eerily quiet, save for the agitated barking of Cinnamon, the family's Yorkshire Terrier. One detail stood out: a broken porch light. Mike swept up the shards of glass to prevent Janelle from stepping on them, inadvertently tampering with what might have been crucial evidence. Inside, there were no signs of struggle, no blood stains, nothing to suggest what had happened. Yet something was undeniably wrong. The absence of the 3 women, coupled with the strange calmness of their surroundings, sent chills down the spine of everyone who entered that house. As the day wore on, the situation grew increasingly bizarre. Janice McCall, Stacy's mother, arrived at the house later that day and made an unsettling observation. Stacy's clothes were neatly folded, as though she had prepared for bed. This detail suggested that Suzie and Stacy had indeed made it home after their night out. Adding to the mystery, Janice discovered that a message on the home's answering machine had been erased, potentially a vital clue lost forever. The erased message, combined with the lack of evidence at the scene, left investigators grasping at straws. Then came another disturbing twist. While Janelle Kirby was still at the house, the phone rang several times. The calls were obscene, filled with sexual innuendos. Janelle hung up immediately each time, shaken by their content. Suzie had reportedly received similar harassing calls in the months leading up to her disappearance, but their timing on this particular day raised alarming questions. Were these calls connected to what had happened, or were they a cruel coincidence meant to deepen the unease surrounding the case? The investigation into the disappearance of Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy was chaotic from the start. Police were not notified until 16 hours after the women were last seen, a delay that proved costly. By the time authorities arrived at the house, it was estimated that between 10 and 20 people had already been inside, contaminating potential evidence. What could have been a pristine crime scene was now compromised, leaving investigators with little to work with. Despite this setback, some unsettling details emerged. Friends and family described Sherrill as a meticulous woman who would never leave her home unlocked or abandon her responsibilities without explanation. Suzie and Stacy, too, were known to be reliable and close to their families. The lack of any struggle, combined with the eerie normalcy of the house, led investigators to suspect that the women may have been lured away willingly, or by someone they trusted. As the investigation progressed, attention turned to potential suspects. One of the first was Dustin Reckler, Suzie's ex-boyfriend. Months before the disappearance, Dustin had been arrested for vandalizing a mausoleum, and Suzie had provided a statement to the police about his involvement. Some speculated that Dustin might have wanted to silence Suzie before she could testify against him in court. However, he and his accomplices passed polygraph tests and were eventually cleared due to a lack of evidence. Another name that surfaced was Robert Craig Cox, a convicted kidnapper and Army veteran who was living in Springfield at the time of the disappearance. Cox had a chilling history and had once been convicted of murdering a woman in Florida, though the conviction was later overturned. Years after the Springfield Three vanished, Cox claimed to know what had happened to them, stating that they were dead and their bodies would never be found. Despite his cryptic statements and suspicious background, no concrete evidence ever linked him to the case. Over the years, investigators pursued numerous leads, but many ended in frustration. In 2007, a tip from a psychic led authorities to examine the parking lot of a local hospital using ground-penetrating radar. The equipment detected 3 anomalies beneath the concrete that resembled graves, sparking hope that the mystery might finally be solved. However, the cost of excavation and the lack of stronger evidence led officials to abandon the effort, leaving the anomalies unexplored and the families of the missing women without answers. Meanwhile, the case continued to haunt Springfield. The story of the Springfield Three gained national attention, appearing on shows like America's Most Wanted and 48 Hours. In 2021, journalist Anne Roderick Jones released a podcast titled The Springfield Three, A Small Town Disappearance, reigniting public interest in the case. Despite thousands of tips over the decades, none have provided the breakthrough needed to solve this chilling mystery. The absence of clear evidence has left room for countless theories about what happened that night. Some believe the women were abducted by someone they knew, possibly coerced into leaving the house under false pretenses. Others speculate that a stranger, perhaps a serial predator, was responsible. The possibility of human trafficking has also been raised, though no concrete links have ever been established. Each theory seems plausible, yet none can be definitively proven. One particularly haunting aspect of the case is the complete lack of physical evidence. No bodies, no signs of a struggle, and no credible eyewitness accounts have ever surfaced. It's as if Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy simply vanished into thin air. This eerie void has only deepened the mystery and fueled speculation, leaving both investigators and the public grappling with the same unanswered question: how can 3 people disappear without a trace? For the families of the Springfield Three, the years have been a relentless cycle of hope and despair. Janice McCall, Stacy's mother, became a vocal advocate for the case, working tirelessly to keep it in the public eye. She has described the pain of not knowing as unbearable, a wound that never heals. The Levitt and Streeter families have also endured decades of unanswered questions, clinging to the hope that one day they might learn the truth about what happened on that fateful night. The house at 1717 East Delmar Street has become a symbol of the mystery. Though it has changed owners over the years, its connection to the case remains undeniable. For some in Springfield, simply driving past the property stirs an unsettling feeling, a reminder of how quickly normalcy can shatter and how fragile the line between safety and danger truly is. Despite the passage of time, the case continues to cast a long shadow over Springfield. Theories and rumors still circulate in the community, with some locals convinced that someone in the town knows more than they've shared. Whispers of cover-ups and missed opportunities by law enforcement have only added to the frustration and suspicion surrounding the investigation. Yet, even with advancements in forensic technology and renewed interest from true crime enthusiasts, the case remains as cold as ever. For investigators, the lack of physical evidence has been one of the most challenging aspects of solving this mystery. Without DNA, fingerprints, or even a clear timeline of events, each lead feels like chasing a ghost. The case file, now decades old, is filled with dead ends and unanswered questions. Still, detectives who have worked on the case describe it as unforgettable, a puzzle that refuses to be solved and a haunting reminder of how easily people can disappear without a trace. One of the most chilling aspects of the Springfield Three case is how ordinary the circumstances seemed at first. A quiet suburban home, a night of celebration, and a close-knit group of friends. There was nothing to suggest danger lurking in the shadows. Yet, it's this very ordinariness that makes the case so unsettling. If such a disappearance could happen in a small, seemingly safe town like Springfield, it could happen anywhere. This thought has kept the story alive in the minds of many, turning it into a cautionary tale about how quickly life can change. Over the years, anniversaries of the disappearance have been marked by vigils and renewed calls for information. Each year brings a mix of hope and heartbreak for the families and the community. The case has become more than just a local tragedy. It's a symbol of unresolved loss and the enduring human need for closure. For those who remember that fateful summer night in 1992, the mystery of what happened to Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy remains as haunting today as it was over 3 decades ago. The case has also sparked broader conversations about the fragility of safety and the limitations of law enforcement in handling complex disappearances. Critics have pointed to the delayed response and the contamination of the crime scene as major missteps that hindered the investigation from the start. Some argue that if authorities had acted more swiftly, crucial evidence might have been preserved, potentially changing the trajectory of the case. These criticisms have left a lingering sense of what could have been, a frustrating reminder of how human error can shape the outcome of such tragedies. Despite these setbacks, the Springfield Three case has left an indelible mark on true crime history. It's a story that has captivated amateur sleuths and seasoned investigators alike, drawing attention from across the globe. The unanswered questions and eerie circumstances continue to inspire theories, documentaries, and podcasts, keeping the memory of Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy alive. Yet for all its notoriety, the case remains unsolved. A stark testament to how some mysteries refuse to yield their secrets. For those closest to the case, the lack of resolution has been agonizing. The families of Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy have spent decades living in limbo, caught between hope and despair. They've held on to every tip, every rumor, and every shred of information as potential keys to unlocking the truth. Yet, as the years stretch on, the weight of uncertainty grows heavier. The absence of answers is a constant reminder of their loss, a void that no amount of speculation can fill. The community of Springfield has also felt the ripple effects of the tragedy. What was once a town defined by its quiet charm has become synonymous with one of America's most baffling unsolved mysteries. Residents who lived through that summer in 1992 still talk about the case with a mix of fear and fascination. It's a story that has become part of Springfield's identity, a dark chapter that refuses to close and continues to haunt those who call the town home. Theories about what happened to the Springfield Three have evolved over the decades, but none have provided definitive answers. Early in the investigation, three primary theories emerged: that Sherrill Levitt was the intended target, that Suzie Streeter's connections to a troubled social circle made her a mark, or that the crime was entirely random. Some investigators believe a single individual with a gun could have subdued all three women without a struggle, potentially using a larger vehicle such as a van to transport them. This theory aligns with the idea that the perpetrator was familiar with the area and may have appeared unassuming to those who knew him. Other theories suggest more sinister possibilities. A tip from a motorcycle gang member once led police to search a hog farm in Webster County owned by a convicted murderer, but no evidence was found. Another lead pointed to the Mark Twain National Forest as a potential burial site, though this too yielded no results. Over time, these dead ends have only added to the frustration and heartbreak surrounding the case, leaving it shrouded in speculation and unanswered questions. The lack of closure has turned the Springfield Three into a haunting symbol of unresolved loss. For the families, every passing year feels like another step further from the truth, yet they remain steadfast in their search for answers. Janice McCall, in particular, has been a relentless advocate for her daughter Stacy, refusing to let the case fade into obscurity. Her determination has inspired others to keep the story alive, but it has also underscored the emotional toll of living without resolution. Meanwhile, the mystery continues to captivate true crime enthusiasts and amateur sleuths. Online forums buzz with theories and debates as people from around the world attempt to piece together the fragments of this puzzle. The case has become a dark fascination for many, a chilling reminder of how easily lives can be erased without explanation. And yet, for all its notoriety, the Springfield Three remains an enigma, a story that refuses to be forgotten but resists being solved. The house at 1717 East Delmar Street, once an unremarkable suburban home, has become a focal point of the mystery. Over the years, it has changed hands multiple times, but its connection to the case lingers like a shadow. For some Springfield residents, the house is a grim reminder of the night three women vanished without a trace. Others avoid it entirely, as though the unanswered questions surrounding it have left a permanent stain on the property. Even today, those who lived in Springfield during that time speak of the case with an air of unease. It's not just the disappearance itself that haunts them, but the sheer lack of resolution. How could three women vanish from their home in the middle of the night without anyone seeing or hearing a thing? The absence of answers has turned this local tragedy into an enduring legend, one that looms over Springfield like a dark cloud, refusing to dissipate. The case has also left a lasting impact on law enforcement in Springfield. The missteps in the early investigation, delayed reporting, contaminated evidence, and missed opportunities serve as cautionary tales for handling missing persons cases. Over the years, advancements in forensic science and investigative techniques have offered new hope for solving cold cases, but for the Springfield Three, these tools have yet to provide any breakthroughs. The frustration of working on a case with so few leads has been palpable among investigators, many of whom describe it as the most perplexing of their careers. For the public, the Springfield Three has become a story that transcends time, a chilling reminder of how quickly lives can change. It's a case that sparks fear, curiosity, and sadness all at once. Whether it's through documentaries, podcasts, or online discussions, people continue to revisit the details, hoping to uncover something that might have been missed. But with every passing year, the possibility of finding answers seems to drift further away, leaving behind only speculation and sorrow. The eerie nature of the Springfield Three case lies not only in the disappearance itself, but in the silence that followed. Despite thousands of tips and countless hours of investigation, no credible witnesses have ever come forward, and no physical evidence has been uncovered. This void has given rise to a sense of unease that permeates every aspect of the case. How could 3 women vanish so completely, leaving behind no trace of their fate? It's a question that continues to haunt both investigators and the public alike. For those who have followed the case closely, certain details remain particularly unsettling. The erased message from the answering machine, the obscene phone calls on the day after the disappearance, and the broken porch light all seem to hint at something sinister. Yet without context or additional evidence, these fragments remain maddeningly inconclusive. They are pieces of a puzzle that refuses to come together, leaving everyone involved grasping for answers in the dark. As the years stretch on, the Springfield Three case has become a symbol of unresolved grief and unanswered questions. For the families, the pain of not knowing is compounded by the passage of time, which seems to erode hope while deepening the mystery. Memorials and vigils have been held to honor Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy, but these gestures, while heartfelt, offer little solace. The absence of closure leaves a void that no amount of remembrance can fill. For Springfield itself, the case remains an indelible part of its history, a dark chapter that overshadows its reputation as a quiet Midwestern town. Residents who lived through that summer in 1992 still recount the story with a mix of fear and fascination. It's a tale that has become woven into the fabric of the community, serving as both a cautionary reminder and an enduring enigma. Even newcomers to Springfield feel the weight of the mystery, as though it's a shadow that refuses to fade. The Springfield Three case has also become a chilling reminder of how fragile the boundary between safety and danger can be. For many, the idea that 3 women could vanish from a quiet suburban home without leaving behind any substantial evidence is deeply unsettling. It challenges our sense of security and forces us to confront the uncomfortable reality that some mysteries may never be solved. This sense of vulnerability has only amplified the public's fascination with the case, turning it into one of the most enduring unsolved disappearances in American history. As time continues to pass, the hope for answers remains, though it grows fainter with each passing year. Advances in technology, such as DNA analysis and ground-penetrating radar, have offered glimmers of possibility, but they have yet to yield any breakthroughs in this case. For those who remember that summer night in 1992, the Springfield Three is more than just a story. It's a wound that refuses to heal, a question that refuses to be answered, and a mystery that continues to cast its shadow over Springfield and beyond. The Springfield Three case has become a stark example of how unresolved mysteries can take on a life of their own, evolving into something larger than the event itself. For true crime enthusiasts and investigators alike, it represents the ultimate challenge, a case with no clear suspects, no physical evidence, and no answers. Theories continue to abound, from the plausible to the outlandish, but they all share one common thread: an inability to bring closure to the families and the community. As we reflect on this haunting story, it's impossible not to feel the weight of its unanswered questions. What happened to Sherrill, Levitt, Suzie, Streeter, and Stacy McCall on that quiet summer night in 1992? Who was responsible and why? These questions remain as pressing today as they were over 3 decades ago. Until the day comes when these mysteries are resolved, the Springfield Three will remain an enduring enigma, a chilling reminder of how some stories refuse to end. The Springfield Three case is a chilling reminder of how unresolved mysteries can linger, casting long shadows over those left behind. For the families of Sherrill, Levitt, Suzie Streeter, and Stacy McCall, the pain of not knowing has been compounded by decades of silence. Despite countless theories, leads, and investigations, the case remains as perplexing today as it was on that fateful night in 1992. It's a story that continues to captivate and haunt in equal measure. As we conclude this exploration of the Springfield Three, one thing is clear. Their disappearance is more than just a mystery. It's a tragedy that has left an indelible mark on Springfield, Missouri, and beyond. The unanswered questions serve as a stark reminder of how fragile life can be and how quickly normalcy can shatter. Until the day comes when these questions are answered, the story of Sherrill Levitt, Suzie Streeter, and Stacy McCall will remain an enduring enigma, a haunting tale of lives interrupted and a community forever changed. The Springfield Three case stands as one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries in American history. On June 7, 1992, Sherrill Levitt, her daughter Suzie Streeter, and Suzie's friend Stacy McCall disappeared from Levitt's home in Springfield, Missouri. Despite decades of investigation, no trace of the women has ever been found, leaving behind a chilling void that continues to perplex investigators and captivate true crime enthusiasts. The circumstances surrounding their disappearance are eerily ordinary, yet deeply unsettling. After attending graduation parties the night before, Suzie and Stacy returned to Sherrill's home to spend the night. Evidence suggests they had settled in for bed. Jewelry was left in the bathroom. Damp cloths used to remove makeup were found, and Stacy's shorts were neatly folded. Yet sometime between 2:15 a.m. and 7:30 a.m., all three women vanished without a struggle, leaving behind their cars, purses, cigarettes, and even an unfinished can of soda. The eerie calm of the house at 1717 East Delmar Street has been a focal point of the mystery. Friends and family who entered the home on the morning of June 7th described it as disturbingly normal. There were no signs of forced entry, no blood, and no indications of a struggle. The only unusual detail was a broken porch light, which a visitor had swept up, unknowingly destroying potential evidence. Inside, the family dog Cinnamon was agitated but unharmed, another strange detail in a case filled with them. As investigators pieced together the timeline, more unsettling details emerged. A message on the home's answering machine had been erased, potentially erasing a vital clue. Obscene phone calls received on the day after the disappearance added another layer of unease, though their connection to the case remains unproven. These fragments of evidence, while intriguing, have led only to dead ends, leaving investigators and the public grappling with questions that seem destined to remain unanswered. Over the decades, the Springfield Three case has become a magnet for theories, both plausible and outlandish. Some believe the women were taken by someone they knew and trusted, while others point to the possibility of a random act of violence by a stranger. Theories involving organized crime, serial killers, and even human trafficking have been floated, but none have provided the breakthrough needed to solve the case. Each new lead seems to end in frustration, adding to the sense of helplessness that surrounds this enduring mystery. For the families of Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy, the lack of answers has been a torment that defies description. Janice McCall, Stacy's mother, has spent years advocating for her daughter and keeping the case in the public eye. Her tireless efforts have ensured that the Springfield Three are not forgotten, but they have also highlighted the emotional toll of living with such profound uncertainty. For those left behind, every day without answers is a reminder of what was lost on that fateful night in 1992. The house where the women disappeared has become a lasting symbol of the case's unresolved nature. Though it has changed ownership multiple times, its connection to the mystery lingers, casting a shadow over its history. For some in Springfield, driving past the property evokes a deep sense of unease, as if the unanswered questions have left a permanent mark on the home. It stands as a silent witness to a night that changed everything, yet refuses to give up its secrets. As time moves forward, the Springfield Three remains an enduring enigma. Advances in technology and renewed public interest have kept the case alive, but the hope for resolution grows dimmer with each passing year. For those who remember that summer in 1992, The story is more than just a mystery. It's a haunting reminder of how fragile life can be. Until answers are found, the disappearance of Sherrill Levitt, Suzie Streeter, and Stacy McCall will continue to echo as one of America's most chilling, unsolved cases. The disappearance of the Springfield Three has left an indelible mark not only on the families and the community, but also on the broader cultural consciousness. It's a story that has been told and retold, each time with the hope that new eyes might uncover something overlooked. Documentaries, podcasts, and online discussions have kept the case alive, turning it into a symbol of unresolved loss and the enduring human need for answers. Yet, despite all this attention, the mystery remains as impenetrable as ever. As we close this exploration of the Springfield Three, 1. Truth remains. Their story is far from over. The memories of Sherrill Levitt, Suzie Streeter, and Stacy McCall live on in those who refuse to let their disappearance fade into obscurity. While the answers may seem out of reach, the determination to find them endures. Until that day comes, their case will stand as a haunting reminder of lives interrupted and questions left unanswered. A mystery that continues to defy time. The Springfield Three case is a stark reminder of how easily lives can be interrupted and mysteries left unresolved. On June 7, 1992, Sherrill Levitt, her daughter Suzie Streeter, and Stacy McCall vanished from their home in Springfield, Missouri. Despite extensive investigations, no trace of the women has ever been found, leaving behind only speculation and unanswered questions. Their belongings, cars, purses, and even personal items were left untouched, creating an eerie sense of normalcy amidst their absence. Theories about their disappearance have ranged from targeted abduction to random violence. Investigators have considered suspects like Robert Craig Cox, who claimed to know the women were dead but refused to provide details. Others have pointed to locations like the Mark Twain National Forest or a hog farm in Webster County as possible burial sites. Yet, every lead has ended in frustration, leaving the case cold for over 3 decades. The mystery of the Springfield Three remains as haunting today as it was over 3 decades ago. What do you think happened to Sherrill, Suzie, and Stacy on that fateful night? Could it have been someone they trusted? Or was it a random act of evil? Share your theories and thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed exploring this chilling case and want to uncover more stories that will keep you up at night, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. By doing so, you'll never miss an opportunity to dive into the darkest mysteries and unsettling truths of our world. Before you go, check out the next recommended video on your screen. It's one you won't want to miss. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the unknown. I'm Jack, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe out there. Did this conclusion meet your expectations, or would you like me to make any adjustments? Let me know.